Now it's time to create the three-part cups from this drafted pattern. I'll be working with these two cups here, that is the center front and the side front cups, by creating a very nice curve across the both patterns. Trust me, this is actually very easy to do and I just need you to pay attention. So what I'm going to do here, from the bust point, I would come down by half of an inch. Just place your tape rule on your bust point and come down by half of an inch. Then on this center line, I would go up by 1 inch on each side of this dart line. So just mark your 1 inch there, and then for the side bust point, I would come down by half of an inch. I'm going to connect these points together, these points I just made right now, to create that very nice curve line. So I'll connect from the first cup to the dart lines with a very nice curve. So I'm just going to connect from this half-inch point to the 1 inch points I made on the dart lines. When I connect this part, I'm going to connect it back to the side bust line. So I'll just place my ruler, my curve ruler, from the center, that is the dart line, and connect it to the side bust where I have the half-inch marked. So guys, this is the three-part corset cup that I just formed right here. So the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out this piece to separate the yoke from the lower part. I'm not fully done with these cups. I'm going to show you what next to do. I'm going to cut out the cups away from the center and the side front, and then cut out the yoke. So what I'm doing here now is to put the pieces together to show you how they look like after cutting out. So you can see the space in between. Now let's move to the last step. Please guys, if you're learning anything from this video, do not forget to hit on that subscribe button if you're not yet subscribed, and give this video a thumbs up. Now we'll be focusing on the cups only, because this is where I'll be creating the three parts for the cup. I'll label this 1, 2, 3 and 4 because I'll be cutting it out. So I'm going to cut out number 1, and also I'll cut out number 2. Please do not forget to label so you do not make any mistake when putting these pieces together. So the next thing I'm going to do here is to use my masking tape to put number 1 and number 2 together. This is to form one whole piece. So I'll use my masking tape to join the darts together. So automatically it's like I have sewn my darts on my paper. You can decide to cut this on another fresh paper to be one piece, or you can use it directly on your main fabric like so. I'm going to put these pieces together to show you how it looks like right now. So this is how it looks like after adjusting the number 1 and number 2 together. Now I'm going to use this to cut on my main fabric. So you can cut it on another fresh paper and add your half-inch seam allowance round the paper, or you use it on your main fabric like I have here. Now I'll take these pieces to cut on my main fabric. So this is what I have after using it to cut on my main fabric. So I cut my main fabric in twos, one for the left and one for the right side, and you can see the half-inch I added around the paper on every sides of the main fabric, apart from where I have the side seam allowance. You see guys, there's one thing I never want to forget in doing, that is notching my bust point. I do this not to make any mistake when joining the cups together, so I don't have one side longer than the other when sewing the cups together. So I'm going to notch this other side of the cup. This is to guide me when I am stitching these cups together. Now we are done with the drafting and the cutting of all these pieces. Please follow me. Let's head down to my sewing machine to stitch all these pieces together. Here I have my lace fabric as my main fabric, and I went ahead to fuse a strong interface on my inner fabric. In our local fabric shops here in Nigeria, this strong interface is called a strong breast pad. So that is what I'm using to pad my cups. I already introduced this very interface on one of my tutorial videos, and I showed you guys how exactly it looks like. So this is what I'm using, and after padding it, it's going to come out firm, just like using boning to cage your bust cup. So after stitching these both pieces together, the center and the side cups, which is the very first step to take in sewing your three-part corset cups, I'm going to trim off the excess from the interface. So you can see me trimming off the excess from the half-inch seam allowance. So I'm going to trim the first one and then trim the second side. I am doing this to reduce the bulkiness from the seam to keep this area flat. So after trimming that off, I'm going to sew in the top of the cup, which has the chest lining, that is the number 1 and the number 2 patterns fused together. So in sewing this, I'm going to start from the dart line, which is the center. So I'm going to start stitching from the dart line to one side of the cup, like you can see me do right here. So I'm doing this because it feels easier to sew it this way, and also to avoid one side of the cup longer than the other. So after stitching that side, I'm going to flip this over and continue my stitch from the center also down to the other side. So guys, this is the first one out. This is the first one I have sewn, and you can see how it looks like right now. I would have to take this to my pressing table to press the seam lines open. So here I'm going to stitch the second cup pieces together in case you missed the first one. I notched the center of the first piece, and here I'm going to stitch the two pieces together following the notch I made on the bust point. So I'm going to start from the top and stitch down to the end of it. After doing that, I'll trim off the excess just like I did from the first cup. So here, this is how it looks like after stitching the both pieces together, and the excess part is trimmed off from the seam to keep that place flat before sewing in the first piece. Just like I did for the first cup, I'll do just the same thing for this second cup. Now I have it sewn, and this is how it looks like before pressing with my pressing iron. So you can see how nice it's cupped and how nice the curve came out. You can see how it looks like inside. I'm going to trim off that excess and then press it with my pressing iron. So guys, make sure to press open every seam lines and also trim off any excess if there's any, like I'll be doing for the lower part of these cups, to keep the cup looking neat and nice and well curved. Here I have pressed my cups with my pressing iron, so you can see how it looks like inside. I pressed open the seam lines, and I made use of my tailor's hammer to do this to help the curve come out perfect. So you can see how nice it is looking here. I also went ahead to press open the seam lines for the bodies, and I'll be using the dart lines as my guide when stitching these both together. Here I'm going to trim off ½ inch from the top of this cup, just the interface and not the fabric, to keep this place flat when stitching the yoke to the cups. The next step to take is sewing the cups to the bodies, and I'm going to be starting from the dart line like I do usually. I like to start from the center, which is the dart line, to help me keep my sewing on track, because I don't want one side longer than the other. If not, I'll start to loosen and re-sewing again. So I'm going to flip it over and start also from the center, which is the dart line. I'll stitch it down to the other side of the cup. So you can see how I am arranging the both pieces together to be on equal lines, stitching with just ½ of an inch. I've finished stitching this cup in, and this is how it looks like. So I'll have to take this to my pressing table to press this side of it very well, so it will come out flat and looking all nice. You can also see how the dart lines of the cup and the lower part align with each other. The next step I'm going to take is to sew in the next cup. Here I'm done sewing in the next cup, and this is how it looks like right now. See the way the both of them look like. I'll take this to my pressing table to iron very flat to keep it looking nice, and also to remove the rumples around the cups. So I'm going to take this over to remove the rumples around the cups with my pressing iron to keep it looking all beautiful, neat and nice. Also, you can choose to trim off the excess part from the under bust of these cups, but for me, I like to leave it in to keep the under bust firm. So guys, if you enjoyed this tutorial like I enjoyed making it, I hope you click on that subscribe button and hit on the notification bell for more detailed tutorials, and also share this video so more people can get to see this and learn how to make it as well. I'll drop the link of the pattern of this tutorial in my description box, where it has the pattern drafting of the front block, so you can get to learn this from the very beginning. So please do not forget to follow this channel for more video tutorials. Like this video if you find it helpful, and also drop your comments or your questions if you have any to be asked. So for now, I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.